Hi folks, Derek here from Christmas Dreams. I recently had a request to show the insides of the village skating pond and explain how it works. So I've opened one of them up over here and I've turned it on, but as you can see it isn't working. But once it goes past this switch, it does work. And the reason why there is this feature is so that the pond will stop at a predetermined place in order to match the stars that are on the top of the surface of the pond. If you can see these snowflakes, they indicate where to place your skaters at the start of your sequence. And because of this, the unit had to be designed in such a way that it would stop at a predetermined place. But once it goes past that, you can see that even though the switch is off, it will carry on working. So right away we can see where the problems come in, where the complaints come in. First of all is what happened just now. It went sailing past, flicked the switch, but the momentum of the motion took it past the switch and the switch opened again. And so the unit doesn't stop, or didn't stop. And this is one of the complaints that we get, because the people no longer know how to turn it off. And even if it does turn off by unplugging it over here, as I'm doing unceremoniously, it will stop at a random place, and the stars again over here have absolutely no meaning. And then you go searching for where the magnets are to place your skaters upon. So that's a problem over there. Now the other problem, and this is a very common problem with Lemax, is they like to use belts as the final drive, and this one has just about had its day. As you can see, it's been stored in the heat and it has developed a kink in the O-ring. See, it's not round, it's oval because it's been stretched. And so when you put it back onto this unit, you can see that it's really loose. And so when you plug it back on, sometimes it will flutter away, and as it gets worse and worse, it will start to lose traction, and you will not have a working unit. Now some of you might have noticed that it's often going right past and not stopping. And the reason is that this is not on, the top pond surface is not on it. So there's no drag, but under normal circumstances, all this would be rubbing up against the pond surface. And so it would actually be moving much slower, and it would be interrupted by that switch. Sometimes here it does, it stopped now. Okay. The other thing is, of course, having a predetermined position of the switch requires you to remember where to put these magnets back when you reassemble your unit after some maintenance. And it will always require maintenance, because you can see over here there's dust in it, there's bits of the belts have gone in, and you can see black spots all over. You need to refresh the grease every now and then, depending on how long you've had this unit. And so opening it and putting it back is actually part and parcel of the whole idea of having this unit. Now if you were to put this magnet along the inner track instead of the outer track over here, you will find that it will stop somewhere else. And if you lift this up, the difference between this and these two arms here is that these two arms have a slot cut in them. So let me stop that in front over here so that you can see it very obviously. You see, that is not round over here, it's got a cut, and the reason why it's got a cut there is so that it won't touch the switch. But the one with the round over here that's coming up, that will touch the switch. But also, it depends on which track you put it in. If you put this on this track and put that on the inner track, you're going to end up with all kinds of different positions. And so really those stars are only good if you play with it straight out of the factory, but the minute you open it up, you've got to be able to have some record of exactly where all the magnets are. Okay, so I pointed out the problems of associated with this type of unit and how you can solve it, the weaknesses of the belt, the positioning, the cams, and the requirement of being exactly where you are. In this particular case, the magnets even popped out, so when you put it back in, you could have a reverse polarity and the skater will not stick on it, and in fact it will repel it, and you won't have that positioning reference anyway. Nevertheless, it is a very nice unit. I love playing with this, and I love changing things around in order to have my own. Use some white grease on these parts over here. Stay away from the belt when it comes to greasing and oiling. That belt definitely needs changing because you can see it's fluttering away. But there is another way to solve your problem, and that is to put an idler over here, which is just a piece of plastic or something to help it to remain stretched. All gears should actually have a sprung idler to make sure that it's always tensioned, but that of course would mean that it would last much longer than it was hoped for by the designers. Derek, over and out.